When unity feels good but costs more than you want to pay, you love unity until it asks you to let go of being right. Psalm 133. The one does not romanticize people. It names something your heart already knows. When God's people stay together in real unity, it feels good and it feels right. But you do not fall into that kind of togetherness by accident. You choose it, and you keep choosing it, especially when your body wants to withdraw, clamp down, or prove a point. Here is the pressure point for many faith-based leaders. You want closeness, but stress keeps tugging you toward distance, suspicion, or control. You can mean well and still start protecting yourself with tone, silence, or side conversations. Not because you stopped loving people, but because you got tired of feeling misunderstood. Unity is not a mood. Unity is a direction. That is why Psalm 133:1 matters. It does not just praise unity. It calls it good and pleasant, which means it has moral weight and emotional reward. Unity reflects God's heart, and it brings relief to yours. So when disunity shows up, do not treat it like normal background noise. Treat it like a warning light on the dashboard. Something is drifting off course. The mission reset that pulls you back to Jesus. Healthy groups share a clear why. When that why stays visible, people can disagree and still move together. When it fades, smaller things swell into ultimate things. Preferences start steering. Fear starts interpreting everything. And under pressure, a team can turn into a collection of individuals trying to protect their own lane. As followers of Jesus, we do not have to invent our shared purpose. Christ saves us. Christ leads us. Christ sends us. That should unite us, but it also exposes how quickly we drift when we stop paying attention. Not because we became rebels overnight, but because we got busy, reactive, and fuzzy on what matters most. Unity feels like a compass that always points back to Jesus. So here is a practical reset you can do today. Say the mission out loud in plain language. In your home, with your team, with your ministry partners. Make it a decision filter, not a wall decoration. Does this move help us follow Jesus and help others take their next step toward Him? When you keep that question on the table, it becomes harder for ego to hijack the room. And yes, this is spiritual. Sin loves confusion. Sin loves vague motives. Sin loves any moment where you forget the center. Clarity starves division. The hard conversation you keep avoiding. An empty conference room has a way of telling the truth. The chairs sit neat. The table looks calm. Your heart is not. You sit down with notes you have revised 3 times, and your mind runs ahead to the worst-case response. You do not fear the facts. You fear what the facts might cost. You want to protect the relationship and protect the work, and it feels like you cannot do both. This is the leadership tension. You carry responsibility for alignment while personalities, preferences, and pressure keep scraping at trust. You want to speak with honesty, but you do not want to sound sharp. You want action, but you do not want a messy fallout. You can sense how fast one poorly chosen sentence could pull people further apart. And the business reality sits right behind it. You need a team to row in the same direction. But the calendar keeps shoving urgent tasks to the front, and misalignment quietly multiplies. If you delay the conversation, confusion grows roots. If you handle it without care, you might win the moment and lose the person. So you choose to steer, not swerve. You start with a shared destination. I care about you, and I care about where we are headed. I want us aligned, not tense. Then you name what you see with clean, concrete words. Here is the pattern. Here is the impact. Here is what needs to change. Then you add what most leaders skip. Here is where I may have contributed, and here is what I will do differently. Then you listen like you actually want to learn something, not to reload your argument, not to diagnose them, to understand the pressure they are carrying and the story they are telling themselves. You ask, what am I missing? You ask, what do you need from me to move forward? You ask, what would unity look like in the next 2 weeks? This is how unity becomes tangible. You do not erase differences. You bring them under Jesus and walk them toward the same mission. Life first. Stop leading from distance at home and with friends. Disunity rarely starts with a big blow-up. It usually starts with small retreats. At home, it looks like being present physically and absent emotionally. With friends, it looks like slow replies and avoided topics. In ministry relationships, it looks like polite conversations that never touch the real issue. You can call it busy, but you know what it really is. You do not want the discomfort of being honest, so you choose the comfort of being vague. Psalm 133:1 reminds you that unity is not only productive, it is restorative. It is good and pleasant because it brings your nervous system back down. It turns suspicion into trust. It turns guarded living into shared life. So make one simple move today. Pick one relationship where distance has grown and take a step toward the person. Send a message that does not perform. I have felt disconnected, and I do not want that between us. If you owe an apology, give it without padding. If you need to ask a question, ask it with humility. If you need to set a boundary, set it with calm clarity, not with a threat. Small course corrections prevent shipwrecks. Business focus. Clarity that keeps teams from fracturing. Unity does not replace strategy. Unity makes strategy possible. You have seen what happens when unity thins out at work. Meetings turn into status updates with no real trust. Communication gets indirect. People stop taking initiative because they do not believe the direction will hold. Departments protect their work instead of sharing it. Momentum leaks out of the weak, and you cannot quite name why. Unity is not a soft goal. It is operating strength. Start with clarity. Clarify what matters most this quarter. Clarify what good looks like. Clarify how decisions get made and how conflict gets handled. When clarity rises, assumptions lose power. And when assumptions lose power, unity has room to breathe. But clarity without humility becomes control, and control always creates resistance. Jesus gives you a better way. You can set direction without crushing people. You can correct without shaming. You can hold standards while still seeing the person in front of you. When tension rises, do not manage from across the room. Step closer. Ask better questions. Reconnect the work to the mission. Then model what you want to see. Quick ownership, slow outrage, honest repair. One compass for both. How Jesus shapes tone, trust, and direction. You do not switch hearts when you leave home and open your laptop. The same inner life drives both. That is why Psalm 133:1 belongs in your calendar, your conversations, and your decisions. Unity is good and pleasant because it reflects God's heart and releases real strength among God's people. It strengthens relationships, steadies leadership, and clarifies purpose. It also protects your witness because people can disagree with your faith and still recognize love that stays steady under pressure. So here is a human, doable call to action. Return to the center today. Say the mission again with Jesus in the middle, in plain words. Then choose one person and make one move toward unity. Not a dramatic overhaul. A real step, a conversation you schedule, an apology you offer, a question you ask without sarcasm, an invitation to rebuild trust one decision at a time. Unity is built on purpose, not convenience. Who do you need to move toward today? Not to win, but to reorient together around Jesus.